What's up, everybody? Welcome back to RBL Weekly. It is week 29 of the 2024 season. We're getting into the home stretch. We got a bunch of great battles for you today. I'm the commissioner of the Roast Battle League, Pat Barker, joined as always by the creator and host of the Roast Battle. It's Brian Moses.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the mainland.
Thank you. I would say good to be back, but it has been a literal nightmare since the moment I touched down on American soil.
Yeah, you look different.
I do. I'm wearing my glasses because I have what's called a corneal abrasion, an abrasion on my cornea. The optometrist told me that my strategy of being awake for 21 hours in contacts, being drunk for 12 of those hours, and then sleeping for 3 was not a good recipe for my eyes. So I got back. I woke up the first day I was back. I could barely see out of my left eye. I could barely hear out of my right ear. Unrelated. It's been a process.
Yeah, you look like a Japanese businessman now.
Thank you.
You really have like transitioned. It's are you gonna live out there?
I don't know. I had so much fun out there, but the lifestyle I was living was not sustainable for a 41-year-old man.
Right. 41-year-old businessman and in a business suit, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I could close some deals over sake and snake shots.
Yeah, snake shots,
dude.
Talk about it.
So I was out there with Keith and Kim, absolute degenerates in the best way, and I was like, I can keep up with these guys, and I did, but at a cost. So the second night we went out and we went to a couple bars, and I woke up the next day at like 11. And I was kind of like embarrassed. I'm like, oh, I can't believe I slept in that much. And they were like, well, we didn't get to bed till 6. And I was like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah, it was the snake shots. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? They were like, do you remember the one bar? And they described it. I'm like, oh yeah, we were there for like 20 minutes. And 20 minutes is when I blacked out. That's when they started pouring. Apparently it's an alcohol that they brew in a big container with like a dead snake in it.
Okay.
And like the poison from the snake is what makes the shots extra potent. I don't know. And I was like, bullshit. I was like, I don't do shots. They're like, you did 6 snake shots. I'm like, there's no chance I did that. And then I went back through like my camera and I'm like, damn, all right, there's video of like them pouring the snake shots and me doing, and I'm like, all right, yeah, it checks out. I was gone. But good times. Good times, dude. Every night we were just out like and worst of all, I forgot how to sleep. I would crash drunk at 4 and I would wake up at 7. I slept 3 hours every night. It was
consistency.
It was awful.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, but I was like, the whole time I was like, this is gonna catch up to me. Like, I can't do this. I can't survive. And my thing was just make it to the end of the trip because I had 5 shows in 48 hours. We judged battles, we battled, we did stand up, I hosted a writer's workshop, we did the live podcast, we did all that. And I was like, just survive till the end and we'll deal with this when we get back to America. And that's exactly what I'm doing now.
Wow. Very, very Vietnamese mentality. Survive in advance.
That's it. Yeah.
Really like your attitude.
Exactly.
We missed you here. Great show last week, by the way.
Thank you.
The live thing.
Yeah.
The crowd, our fans really took to that. That might be something we should be doing, maybe.
It was a lot of fun. It was a nice change of pace. I liked, the interviews and everything like that. Yeah. It was cool. I don't think it's, I saw a couple people in the comments who were like, this should be the show. You should do this every week. People in LA don't give a fuck about anything. You're not going to get a crowd coming out to LA.
Right.
They got farmers markets to go to and shit.
Right. Yeah, that was like fantasy camp for roast battle. Like, yeah, like that's as good as it gets. Like in a world where like roast battle is the biggest thing ever. Like that's what it looks like.
Yeah. It was. But it's really cool, man. The Japanese comedy community. It's why we were talking about this a lot. Me, Keith, and Kim. Mm-hmm. Like to go to a comedy community where there's no viable path to like making it as a comedian. They barely just have stand up. There's no infighting. There's no, backstabbing. There's no any of that. Nobody's trying to get ahead. Everybody's just like, we do this thing and we love it and we're all friends. And I'm like, how refreshing.
That reminds me of like the beginning of the Austin comedy scene. Like I can't say the beginning. Sorry, old Austin comedy scene. But this rebirth when Rogan and Hinchcliffe went out there, there was this gelling of everybody, and like nobody had that infighting. There was such like support, and I remember like being like very vocal about that, saying like even Darian Irwin, I was a very funny Austin battler. He battled out in the new roast battle DFW out in the Big Left comedy scene. Anyway, so I asked Kat, I was like, why is everybody so supportive here? This feels like an improv, like community. He's like, give it a few years. He's like, but we're really into each other right now. Everybody's kind of at the same level, you know. Go up and doing stand-up like a few years, a few months, kind of a thing. So it's just kind of fun to like kind of grow this thing. And then as soon as the mothership opened, it was all bets were off.
All bets were off. Yeah, honeymoon phase.
Yeah, it was over.
Yeah, and
now
then
they get divorced.
Yeah, and then the mothership was the divorce court of
now there's hierarchy and
for sure. I mean, that's just how it is. So it's really cool to go to a city where you don't see any of that, and the Japanese comics just so inviting, and this is their Super Bowl roast fest.
It is Super Bowl. That's awesome. By the way, yeah, shout out Whack Rat, JJ, and all those guys out there. Troy Lewis, Big Bill.
Bill Miller had a great battle.
Jay
of course,
Yamaki.
we saw it on the podcast. I battled Jay Yamaki. We'll be seeing that at some point. A lot of controversy in that one. That'll be on the podcast, I'm sure, eventually. Troy Lewis had a great battle with Kim Congdon. And Mike Paxman, who, spoiler, we're going to be seeing later today. He went up against Keith Carey. We'll be seeing that battle. And then all the guys who help run the Tokyo Comedy Bar, BJ Fox, Vinay Murthy, Ruben VM, who, by the way, the first night, Ruben, he plays the guitar. He has the roast battle theme song. He came out, he played the guitar, then he went back, he ran the sound booth for 2 battles, then he came out and he battled, then he went back. At halftime, he played another song. Then he went back and ran the sound booth for the rest of the show. Just like
utility guy,
total 5-tool player, 100%. Yeah. Doing a little bit of everything, and those guys worked their ass off to. Also, Roast Fest last year was 4 shows.
Yeah.
The Tokyo Comedy Festival this year was like 40 shows or something. It was a whole bunch that they crammed into like 2 weeks, and pretty much everything I saw, they were selling out. They're drawing like amazing crowds. So. Shout out to Tokyo. Shout out to Roast Battle Tokyo. Snake Shots. I can't wait. I'll be back next year to do them all again. Yeah. Do you want to jump into some battles?
Dude, big episode. I saw some big names in this episode. I don't know if the battles are good. I know I saw a few physically in person, but yeah, I'm excited to see what happens this week. I like the names.
I'll say that the top 3 battles. Remember the week we had a few weeks ago where it was Shalaka versus Jack and Meccan versus Ryan Cullen and it was Mike Eaton and Michael Ridley, and we were like, this is the best big 3 we've had all season. This is kind of like that. These big 3, I think, are like clearly head and shoulders above the rest. I really enjoyed all of them. And some big names, and including somebody setting a record for most RBL points in a single season. We'll get to that a little bit later. Yeah.
Record setter, all right.
Record setter. But let's jump into the battles here, and as always, we do not watch 7, 6, and 5 in the studio. We'll be back for our live reactions and commentary on the top 4. By the way, speaking of which, shout out to Dylan DeBon, guest member of the ranking committee this week. Dylan's a great guy. I've seen him popping up at a bunch of LA and San Diego roast battles. He comes, he hangs out, he lives down by San Diego. Super nice guy, and he came up with a mathematical formula to rank battles.
No way.
Yeah, he sent me this whole thing, and it's very funny to have notes where it's like 36 out of 37. I really enjoyed the rape joke. It's just this amazing mathematical formula where with all the worst words attached to it.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of it's like a terrible mind.
Yes.
It's not a beautiful mind.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Double D. I was gonna call you. Now I'm gonna call you D squared because that's like nerdy. But like, I want to see this formula now. If there's a formula to rank rape, race, homophobic, and all the Xbox Live language jokes, I want to hear them.
He came up with it, so we'll pick his brain on a future episode. But great job ranking, and for the most part, I think he nailed it. We were in the same place. I didn't have the Excel spreadsheet, but that he did, but we ended up in the same place. But let's jump into some battles right now, and we're going to start with the number 7 battle, and this comes to us from Denver. Been a couple weeks since Denver was on. They had to take a little bit of time to regroup. They executed the DJ at gunpoint in the town square, in Larimer Square. Very, everybody celebrated. It was a good moment. It's the number 7 battle this week. It's Cesare versus Spaghetti Jake. Here it is.
Cesare, I just want to start this by thanking you for taking the time out of saying Jinkies too loud in the back of a movie theater. The only mystery this film was trying to solve is where's her dad?
Yeah, more like who's my dad? Anyone know? I know Spaghetti Jake looks like someone who gets lost frequently, but it wasn't very hard to get him here today. We just put a pie out on the windowsill and he floated here on the scent.
Everyone give it up for James Girl Jones. You look like Popeye's answer to Wendy's.
Yeah, guys, the only thing Spaghetti Jake gets sucked are his own fingers after he eats.
That's a good roaster. My name's Cesare, and you're jerking off to the Disney Channel.
It would be an honor to be jerked off to, thank you.
It's never too late.
Thank you, yeah. I would call you Shrek, but I don't see any ass following you around.
Coming from you? Fucking. Honda Sykes, everybody. The only thing more mixed than Cesare's drinks is Cesare. She's half white, half blackout drunk.
Yeah, it looks like you stop masturbating when it starts to feel like exercise.
It feels like exercise trying to get away from you when you corner me in a bar. I'll end it with this. Cesare is a Denver 6 and a Jackson 5. Oh, someone get their aunt off the stage. No one asked you to twerk.
No one asked you to twerk either, but we all had to sit through that, so. Spaghetti Jake is really an ambitious stage name when you think about the fact that he still looks like he pronounces it Paschetti.
All right, so that was number 7 this week. Cesare, Spaghetti Jake, Denver picking up a point. Obviously, been a hell of a season for them. Of course, they're in the American West, so hell of a season means last place. But can't be ignored the year that they've had. They've put up some really quality battles.
Yeah, and those are 2 names. Again, I'm talking about, there's a lot of names I like. Love Spaghetti Jake. Obviously know that cat from when he comes out to Austin and battles at the mothership or the gas company at Vulcan. And Cesare, she helped me out that Denver roast battle I was going to go to for the first time. And then we landed in Colorado Springs for some reason. Some like weird emergency route. Remember that?
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and then I was like, I'm going to need a ride. And she lived in Colorado Springs. She's like, yeah, I'll just take you. I'm battling tonight kind of a thing. Or she was judging.
Oh, really?
And then we just happened to make it 30 minutes after the show started. I just missed the whole show.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I was like, I don't want to. Because it was weird. I was like, this is a whole stranger.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, she was willing and it was cool when we had talked. And I was like, no. This is weird. I don't want to be, like, there's just, you don't take a strange man you don't know to, 45 minutes into a town.
But the thought was there.
The thought was there. Shout out Cesare. Thank you.
Shout out Cesare and Spaghetti Jake. We've seen him a few times on the podcast this year. Very entertaining battler always. Jumping into the number 6 battle this week, this comes to us from Chicago, and it features a little bit of inner city violence. We're talking about Chicago versus Cleveland. Cleveland, it's been a rough rookie campaign. They're searching for points anywhere they can get them. They pick up a point on the road as Chicago picks up 2 as they desperately try to catch New York for first in the East Division. Without further ado, it's the number 6 battle this week. It's Chicago's Tito going up against Cleveland's Brandon Petrie. Here it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for LGBT Eazy-E. Tito's had a number of odd jobs in his life. He had a short stint as a gay biker. After that, he coached a swim team, or as Americans call it, illegally immigrated to the United States.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look at this elf on a shelf looking ass bitch. Look it. The only time he moves at night is when women aren't watching. You know what I'm saying?
Fuck you!
Shut up.
Hey, it's fine. I'm the elf on the shelf in this one. Folks, put your hands together for Dora the Age of Consent Explorer.
Hey, you're the one that looks underage, bro.
That's why you like me so much.
Hell yeah.
I'm just gonna use that as a joke. I think that was good.
Brandon, your last name is Petrie, like Petri dish. And just like a Petri dish, he's a large clump of useless white cells that needs to be cultured. His vibe's called tapioca.
They sent me to take your culture, buddy. That's why I'm here. Folks, keep it going for the Costa Rican Chris Angel. Tito lost his sister when he was young, but he's actually come out of the situation with a more positive outlook. Because when a 91 Monte Carlo flips, it could have been any of the 17 of them.
Bro, how's your voice older than you? That's crazy.
You sound disappointed.
This motherfucking femme boyardee over here. Can't grow a beard. And because I think I found out why, because at the bar he ordered an estrogen and tonic.
That means the world coming from South American Eagle. Tito.
You only
also-
fly under the radar, bro. Shut up.
Stop looking at my fly, Tito. Tito also shares a name with a famous cocktail, Tito's and Soda. And that makes a lot of sense, because whenever Tito's booked on a show, he has to ask, so the show was canceled?
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Hell yeah. He's Brandon's got a black girlfriend, which has changed his life because before that he was training to become a Dylan roofer. Yeah, he just wanted to enter a room to see black life scatter. You know, look at him. Shut up.
Folks, Tito dresses like an underground gay porn director. He publishes all of his work under the alias Ricky Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, I do. I look like I do magic, and I put a spell on him called Expecno Scrotum. It's fucking Ellen DeGenderless over here. You look like you go to the barber shop and get the Elliot Page or whatever that is.
It's a good look for me. Does me wonders. Tito is a landlord, and he's very conceited about it, which is why these days he's always rolling his hard R's.
Hell yeah, this pre-op RoboCop. Anyways, you look like you roll your sleeves up before you eat pussy. You look like you ask permission to cry. It's crazy. Soft ass boy.
I may look like I asked permission to cry. Tito is Mexican, but he's soft Mexican. Like he joined MS-13, but only to teach their pottery class.
Brandon looks like the guy that always cries after a fight. He looks like when he gets angry, he goes, "Newsflash, buddy," or whatever. It's safe words, G's Louise. All right, give it up for these two, everybody.
So that was number 6 this week. Tito versus Brandon Petrie. Of course, Tito, the winner of last year's Chicago tournament, which you were at the finals of. Mm-hmm. Brandon Petrie, a former Cleveland champion, who will be battling at the Mothership coming up. We have 3 shows at the Mothership in the span of a week. I don't know the ticket situation. I don't know if tickets are still available, but if you're in Austin and you want to check those out, hop onto the Comedy Mothership website and see if there's any left for September 30th, which is a Monday, or our 2 shows on October 6th, which is a Sunday. We're at 5 o'clock. We're at 8 o'clock. Chicago, Cleveland, we didn't watch the battle here. Just overall thoughts on kind of the seasons they've had.
I brought this battle up, I think, like an episode or 2 ago. Because I had mistaken it, I think, with Tito. Yeah, so I think I've seen this battle online, and Tito's always fun. Tito's always fun. Brandon was really fun for this one, so that was cool. Obviously, it made the countdown, but yeah, Tito, man, I guess I gotta get back up the rankings. He's fun. Get back in the mix, Tito.
Tito actually, he quietly posts a lot of wins. I was looking at the career across 2 seasons, RBL like win leaders, and he's one of the few people who has double digits. He's at 10 wins. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So great job, and really sort of blends. Rides the line of like being like he's a character, but he's also like he writes some good shit. So, what?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's just
I gotta be
as
careful.
A human being, he's a character.
I gotta be careful. Some people take the character thing the wrong way. I've been getting that a lot. It's not an insult. It's really, really not. It's not intended to be one anyway. I mean, people take it how they take it, but it's so funny when you reference somebody, being a character and then they take it as a slight. And it's like, you're doing something different intentionally, which is good.
I can only equate it to this. Mark McGuire. Right? He started as a pitcher. And he always wanted to be a pitcher.
Really?
Yeah, he went on a scholarship as a pitcher to
no
USC.
Shit, I did not know that.
It was a power pitcher. Anyway, but he was a better power hitter.
Yeah.
Right? And then he was a hitter, kind of like Barry Bonds, like a Bobby Winnie, like more of like a singles guy, doubles guy. Big power hitter, I think, early, and then obviously he gets drafted and like knocks out the home run record as a rookie.
Yeah.
Then they say like, oh, you're a home run hitter. And he would take slight to that. Right? It was just like, but then you're like, well, I guess I just am, like he's kind of like the older you get, you kind of settle into it, And even like Jeff Ross would say something like that he would take slight, because I think he started out in the alternative comedy scene, right? He would like do poems and do shit in like Central Park, that kind of a thing. He was real eccentric and real talented. He was just like a real good stand-up comedian. And he really held that to like his heart. And then like and he was really good at roasting though. Probably a little better with the skill set, maybe like to people, and they were like, you're a better roaster, and he'd like but then like he would just get more opportunities. It's like, fuck it, I'm this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean that's a thing that I think a lot of us who came up through the roast battle experienced, where people are like, that's not a stand-up, that you're a roaster. And it's like from people who had never even seen my stand-up, Right. Just like it's impossible for you to have 2 different skills. So you will be this thing. And for a while you do. I got really offended by it. I get it. I understand. But then after a while you're like, there's nothing wrong with being a roaster. It's a good thing. It's got me a lot of work.
The character of it all.
Yeah.
It's like you can be a character. It's fun, But like, yeah, Tito, you just are, like you walk out of the house, you just are that person.
Yeah.
Digits actually might be Edgar in the house, he's drinking tea, he's reading Sherlock Holmes, he's got a little, terrier, he's just like talking about, he's like, can you believe Josh's autism? Is it even real? And he says it like that.
That's such Edgar behavior. Yeah. Anyway, just as an all-encompassing statement, if I, on this podcast, say you're a character, it's never meant as an insult, okay? I think you're all very talented, and I love you all dearly. Number 5 is a battle between 2 real characters. Whew, buddy. Get ready for this. It comes to us from Austin, and it's a lot of fun because they're characters, but that's a good thing. That's why it's a ranked battle this week. It's number 5. It's Munford Davis going up against a name that you'll recognize, Keith Ray. Here it is.
Mumford, I'm glad to see you could take a break from drowning cats to be here. Mumford is from Virginia, which means his dad is a mountain man and his mother's a possum. Yo, mama vermin!
Keith, you litter box person. Keith, why do you look like you owe somebody $40 and a pack of cigarettes? Yeah, there's no punch. You owe me $40 and a pack of cigarettes.
I can't prove Mumford is illiterate, but he looks like he stops at stop signs because they're red. You know you can't read for shit!
I think I just stepped in a fat pile of Keith Ray.
Whatever Mumford gave us. Oh! Yeah, Mumford, Mumford is a very sensitive boy with very serious mental health issues. At the age of 5, the Virginia Medical Board diagnosed him full-blown queer. They think you gay back home.
Keith, you cancerous lump. Keith's like a fatty tumor. You don't have to remove it, but you fucking want to remove it.
I wish you could amputate that joke right about now, don't you?
Yeah, good one, Doug Stanhopeless.
Yeah, Mumford got a haircut recently. Didn't work.
There's not a haircut Keith could get that wouldn't make him look like a corpse.
He sat down in the barber's chair and said, "Give me the Myrtle Beach sex offender." Haircut more like bear cut. This dude look gay as fuck.
Hey guys, calm down. Keith's been having a really hard time lately. He can't get his dick sucked under the bridge anymore, because he burned them all!
All right, final joke, guys. Last joke.
Mumford answers the question, what if your imaginary friend raped you? He's a grown man that's scared of the dark.
Keith, you scallywag. Hey guys, Keith just got his 30-day chip. It was a bag of Doritos he left in his back seat for a month.
All right.
So that was the number 5 battle this week, Mumford Davis versus Keith Ray. We didn't watch it here in the studio, but it's a little bit insane. Keith was a guy, he lived out in LA for many years. I'm sure your paths probably crossed at some point.
You know Keith, he used to work at the mothership.
Yeah, he still does, I think.
No.
He's out?
Yeah, and then he came back, and I think he's out in Austin sometimes. Obviously, he's got like connections out there, and then he's out in LA sometimes now.
Yeah. No, I love Keith. I had never seen him battle before this. Very entertaining. This battle was introduced by Adam Lucky, and I'm quoting, one of them is a recovering alcoholic and the other one is legitimately retarded. Those are that's how he introduced it. And then he said, I'm going to let you guys figure out which one's which. And I'm going to be honest, by the end of the battle, I'm not sure anyone knew. I didn't. It was the great mystery, but a really fucking fun battle.
I mean, they're both great. I love Mumford Davis. There's nothing like that guy. And then Keith, I think, is related to the guy that killed Martin Luther King Jr.
Is that true?
No, I don't know.
Oh.
James Earl Ray, Keith Ray, who knows?
I mean, he seems like he could be.
Right?
That's the thing. I wasn't even surprised at all. I was like, really? Okay, all right. That tracks. Yeah.
It's almost like Keith is just like, are there any more of those? I can, he looks like that. Like carrying on his lineage a little bit. Almost like Scott Belichick to Bill Belichick.
I was thinking more like Andy Reid's kid because there's,
Because he's dead?
One of them's still alive.
Oh, that's right.
Andy Reid had a few. He's Mormon.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, dude. They pump him out.
They do. Ew.
Let's keep it moving right now and go to the number 4 battle. And we're actually going to watch this one here in the studios, which is great because I have nothing left to say about anything that's intelligent at all. It's the number 4 battle this week. And this, again, here we go with the character thing. I think character is just anybody who's not white and has a personality.
It's this episode.
Yeah,
No, because Phil Corridor is a character to you, too.
What?
Phil Corridor is a character to you, too.
I just said anybody who's not white.
Oh, not white. Oh, these aren't white guys?
I mean, all right, so the Bay Area battles start with 7 hosts on stage for some reason.
Right.
But the actual battle is between Drew Schaefer, white guy, not a character, and Cookie Williams, black woman, character. I think
Mumford Davis character.
Mumford Davis character. Okay, yeah, my theory's falling apart. But Cookie Williams, we've seen on the podcast a couple times. She had the number 1 battle a few weeks ago with Britt Beer. She is just so fun. She sells cookies after the show. She's got the whole gimmick going on. And she comes into roast battle just very likable, very affable, very fun. Drew Schaefer is another guy who we've seen a whole bunch. He takes some punches in this thing and always fires back. Big fan of his as well. It's the number 4 battle this week. It's Drew Schaefer versus Cookie Williams. Here it is.
Thanks for being here, you guys. I'm so excited. I dress like a vacation that Cookie can't afford. But I'm the nice guy. I want you guys to help her out. After the show, she is selling cookies. All the proceeds from her cookie sales go to diabetes. Her diabetes.
Fuck him.
1-0 Cookie.
He came out here rough. Okay. I wrote some stuff down too.
You can read?
2-1 Drew.
I fucked you guys. I didn't know she could.
Okay. So now I see his wife's been writing his joke. He ain't this good on Instagram. Drew is so white. He think butter on toast is spicy. That's hella white.
That was a good one, Hallie Pillsbury. That was great. Cookie only smokes weed. That's the only drug she does, obviously, right? She wanted to try heroin, but she was scared if the spoon hit the right spot, she would pop like a Pillsbury crescent roll.
Man, hella people like that pop. You know what I mean? Hell yeah. On the worldwide tooth scale, Drew is an American too, but he's a British 7.
Yeah. Now I call these teeth the cookie cutter, bitch.
He bit me. Y'all see that?
Shaped like Mount Everest. That's what these shits cut up. Yeah. Give it up, everybody, for Megan kicked in the head by a stallion. But did you guys know that stressed, spelled backwards, is dessert? Yeah, and Cookie can't even fucking spell. Okay, the only letter she knows is E, and that's because that's what her gas tank's always on.
Hey, I don't need to get nowhere that costs more than $5.
Touche.
My money going to the weed.
That's why you got 5 on it.
You know, some people Drew got a face that looked like he been put up for adoption.
That's a great joke.
Fuck that. You know when you eat something you don't want it, you throw it in the trash like that? Yeah. So they dropped them off at the fire department.
Has there ever been food that you put in the trash can?
Yeah, she walked into that one.
That's how you didn't run.
Not at all. I came here for the free food. Speaking of food, when Drew goes to the beach and takes off his shirt, he looks like a piece of boiled chicken breast. They be chanting for him, talking about, put it on.
That was a good one, Chip's a whore. You know, Cookie actually got her idea to sell cookies after the show because she used to sell pussy. She did, but people kept getting disgusted when they saw her panties and saw the fudge stripes.
Oh, that's gross.
Keebler joke, yeah.
It's crazy because Drew looked like a mascot for the Lost and Found. Drew's first job actually was a mascot. He was McGruff the crime dog. Yeah. On his application, they realized he can truly take a bite out of crime. Yeah.
Then you EBT Grimace. That was... I think it was 4, right? You got another one?
No, I ain't got no more.
All right, let's go.
Number 4 battle this week, Cookie Williams versus Drew Schaefer. I love that Drew knew that the battle was over. He was keeping track, and he still snuck in EBT Grimace.
Yeah.
And then he's like, all right, get up here. Yeah. I just had to say that last thing. Yeah, exactly. It's like when they want to take the half-court shot, but they wait until after the buzzer so it doesn't fuck up their field goal percentage. Yeah, fun battle, some back and forth, some good shit in there. Cookie, very fun off the cuff. Drew had a couple great ones. A thinker about dessert and stressed the anagram. I don't know. What'd you think?
What? Drew was doing the thing that takes. There's a theme, right? He was doing a whole cookie theme. He was going through all the brands that do cookies, and I thought the effort and the attempt was great. The execution wasn't always, on key, but I like that there was a playbook, and I like that he tried to execute the playbook, even though it wasn't always, I think, what he wanted to see.
I agree with that. Yeah, I don't think you see a lot of themes like that, and kudos to him for not just going like straight up like black jokes.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what the theme would be for most people. It's like, I don't know, call her black 4 times.
I mean, he definitely snuck those in there, the stereotypes.
You have to.
Right.
I'd be disappointed if he didn't, but...
Correct. I think on the outside, you're looking at that thick layer of it, but I think at the end, I was like, oh, he was doing a whole theme. Keebler, Pillsbury, I think he got...
Chips Ahoy.
Chips Ahoy.
The fudge stripes.
The fudge stripes at the end was really good, even though it was gross, the visual, but still, it's like, that's great. You really did get it in there. EBT Grimace was another thing just because she's a big, and she's poor and black. He's saying that kind of a thing. So he got a lot of layers in there, I thought, and I was impressed with he snuck a lot in there. He really double stuffed it in there. No famous Amos though, no Nabisco.
Yeah, but you're right. I didn't even take into account what he was doing entirely with I recognized the cookie theme, but there were more layers than I previously realized. Hey. So well done, Drew Schaefer. That was good. And then Cookie is just like I generally don't love the off the cuff rebuttals that aren't aimed at your opponent. But she has a really fun way of doing it. Like when he said something about her gas tank being on E, and she's like, I don't need to go anywhere. It costs more than $5. That's just like some very like mom shit to say,
Some people like that pop.
Yeah.
A lot of people like that pop. I mean, she's got this.
Yeah.
Remember Punky Johnson on Saturday Night Live? Mm-hmm. Her as a comic from around the Comedy Store before she got hired over there. I mean, she's got that quality to her where like everything just rolls off and it's just a party. It's like a Mardi Gras every time she just says something. We're all having a good time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Big black woman who's not like Yamanika in the sense of like, I'm not going to attack you and kill you like a Leslie Jones. I want you to have a good time. Come on, baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And those legs do look like cookie dough. That thing is crazy. It really does. So I'm like, she's looking more and more like her character.
Fuck, that's good. I don't have anything that'll beat that. Congratulations, Bay Area, number 4, picking up 4 points. Let's keep it moving right now. And go overseas to Manchester for the number 3 battle. I want to talk a little bit at the end of the episode about the race for the International East Division, which I think we all thought was going to be one way, and I think it's shaping up to be another way, and we'll talk about that. You have some people who are specifically out to prove you wrong.
Yes.
And we'll get to that. But let's watch the battles first. Number 3, Manchester, the leader in the International East Division, one of the only, maybe the only city in the entire league that has led wire to wire. From week 1 to week 29, Manchester's been on top, and we have continually waited for the other shoe to drop and waited for them as an expansion city to fall off, and they haven't done it yet. They've managed to remain in first place the entire way. They pick up 5 more points this week. This is a title match from their most recent show. The champion, Mecken Roth, defending against the challenger, Brendan Fox. Here it is.
Ooh.
This is Brendan, and I'm not saying he has a thing for cougars. I'm just saying he's fucks more middle-aged women than menopause. He's had more wrinkly bitches than a basset hound breeder. You get it. And he's murdered more ancient pussy than a high-kill shelter.
I just want James Heath to know that the only reason I'm on my phone is because I'm watching porn. It relaxes me. Mecken looks like an offensive oil painting of a lesbian. She recently moved from London to Manchester in what she described as an eat, pray, love moment. More like an eat, eat, eat moment, am I right, eh? Ooh-wee.
Am I fat? God. Look at you. You soft, sweet, hairless little angel. You're all smooth and slippery like a dolphin. Brendan's so hot and dumb, the only reason he ended up in this city, moving from Australia, is because he Googled how to get man chest hair.
Fucking little bit. Mecken is Icelandic. Iceland is known for having some of the most attractive people in the world. So naturally, Mecken grew up in America. Mecken actually grew up in California, which is known as America's wine country. They call it that because Mecken was always whining about how much hotter her mum is than she.
It's really hard having a hot mom.
Mum's hot as fuck, man.
Yeah.
She's in my age bracket.
Look, Brendan's a really nice guy. He is, which is why it's so unfortunate that he has such awful frat bro energy. I genuinely can't tell if you're about to shotgun a beer or shotgun a queer. But I'd like to find out.
Mecken once wrote a song for her friend called Stop Fucking Ugly Guys. I wish someone would write a song for Mecken called Stop Fucking Singing, Please, Jesus Christ.
No, he is a really nice guy, which is the problem, because he gives a lot of judge drop the charges to save his swimming career. Like, I'm sorry. He's so sweet, but he does look like he's been inside more unconscious women than a heart surgeon.
I've got more Iceland facts. Iceland is known for having some of the world's strongest men. This is because they spend all day carrying conversations with Meccan. It's also a place that has some like the most frequent earthquakes in the world. Earthquakes happen when like tectonic plates shift beneath the Earth's surface, or whenever Meccan falls over. It's a toss-up between. And for those who don't think she can handle that, she's a big girl.
Brendan's just so proud to show off what he just learned in science class. So cute. Brendan's dad has dementia. I mean, the man who raised him, not whatever kangaroo shagger spawned this broy Joey. Hey, Brendan, why the long face? Oh, right, it's because your dad doesn't recognize you anymore.
I think Megan was alluding to my horse face there. You were? I do have a lot in common with horses. For instance, if Megan sat on either of us, it would fucking hurt. So there's that. For work, Megan works with kids with autism and ADHD. She's like a mentor for them. Having Megan look after your mental health is like asking Jay Slater for holiday tips. I mean, he's dead. And these kids are going to die if they... Anyway, and finally, Megan has talked about how much she likes really rough sex, which is great if you want to punch a woman in the face or if you've ever wanted to fuck that kid from the movie Up. Remember Russell? Yeah. Yeah, fucking... Is that it? Ah, we're done. Hey!
They're done. It's the number 3 battle this week, the title match from Manchester. Brendan Fox, the new Manchester champion. Megan Roth, perhaps cementing her place as the Manchester MVP, which, should they hold on and win that division, is a big deal because she would represent them in the World Championships. 2 of the best, maybe the 2 best that they have in Manchester, putting on a hell of a show there.
That battle kind of had everything I was looking for this episode because I saw the names and I was like, okay, usually I see big names and sometimes they don't always deliver. That gave me everything I wanted in a championship match. Maybe the viewers may not have seen this or the fans, but there was a lot of good stuff in that, man.
Yeah.
Just from a championship perspective. It was, I don't know who is it Megan? Is the champion?
Megan was the champion. Brendan is now the champion.
Okay.
Yes.
By the way, saying Brendan is attractive, that's really just shows you how attractive people in Manchester are. And I know he's from Australia, so he's an import, but Jesus Christ, you guys, that's the guy. Anyway. But they both had really good jokes. Things rolled off Brendan. He reminds me like Willie Simon, if you know Willie.
Mm-hmm,
right?
Yeah.
He's got that kind of like, you know, that broy Joey energy she was talking about. I thought that was so good. She is a really, 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 really good staying in the pocket comic when it comes to writing dark jokes. And she has a great rhythm and delivery when she knows she's about to say something dark. A lot of, I would say, younger performers don't necessarily, I'm not young, I mean, you can be 50s, I'm saying, but like younger just in, they don't have the experience to understand what it means to sit in the silence sometimes.
Yes.
And she's so good at that. I just thought that a lot of the stuff she said went over their heads. And she did that thing that we talk about sometimes where there's like a sexual tension. Like you could tell she was clearly attracted to this kid, right? But she still had like backhanded enough compliments where it was like, but you still fuck me kind of, right? You know? And it was like, I saw so much in that battle that I liked from Megan of just like, that might be my rookie of the year now. Like I just like, that might have cemented it for me. She's got such a, she's a really good performer, man. I mean, like just, there's, the dismounts and the sticking of the landing she had on some of those jokes, I'm just overly impressed with. She's got a Lisa Lampanelli mixed with Keith Carey-ness about her.
The thing that I want to talk about that was the first thing you said, sitting in the silence and the pacing. The pacing, I've seen people, it's easy to pick up the pace when you're on stage. Let's start from a stand-up perspective. You go up there, you have these sets where like the audience is completely on board, right? And then you move at your pace the entire time. And then you have sets where maybe like a couple things miss and you start speeding up kind of naturally and you have to remind yourself, slow down, right? In roast battle, you could be doing everything right, but if your opponent is hitting hard, I've seen people speed up at that too. Brendan landed a couple of major punches and she moved at exactly her pace. She looked completely comfortable. She has these vocal inflections and intonations that she kind of changes in the setup. She is like demasculating in the way she addresses her male opponents. The way she just kind of like, almost is like, I remember when we were on our South tour, and Sarah Keller was battling Keith Carey, and at one point she was just like, "Bless your heart." And in the South, that's like a big thing.
Yeah.
And just the way the room responded to it, that simple thing. Meccan has some like bless your heart energy where she's just like, look at you trying to be a comedian. Isn't this so cute? Like, even as he's killing it, she gets away with just being like, aren't you adorable with what you're trying to do right now? And the way she's just like, am I fat? After the first fat joke was so good. They both stuck with their game plan entirely and worked within each other. I thought it was great because he also didn't try to reinvent the wheel. He's like, yeah, I'm going to call you fat. You're fat. I'm going to call you fat. That's what I'm going to do. The way he addressed the phone right off the bat, I'm looking at porn. It calms me down. He made that okay. They both had so many great things. For him to have a horse face rebuttal ready to go,
dude,
was it was just expertly done, man. One of the better title matches I've seen in a while. We'll readdress that statement in a couple battles, but yeah, I thought they were both great. Meccan Roth has been my surprise performer of the season. We didn't expect anything out of the expansion cities. My hope was by week 20 you start to figure it out, and then Manchester has just been in the lead the entire time, and she has been leading the charge for them. In my mind, right now, she's the Manchester MVP. Even with that loss, I think she's been outstanding. And rookie of the year. Yeah, I think there's actually there's a lot of good rookies, but
yeah, dude.
But I would probably have her. Kyle Samuel from Scotland is the other one.
Oh
where I'm
yeah,
like,
I forgot about Kai. Yeah, he's.
And
really
then there's
good.
a bunch here in the States, but Meccan has been. I can't say enough good things.
But you're right about Manchester. They have this like Las Vegas Golden Knights thing about them. Expansion team gets to the championship kind of a thing. They just like wire to wire, just like they gotta peter out, right? They're new. They don't get. They're come on, but they're nailing it. And
6 weeks away.
And again, that battle just like it really does. I learned something in that battle. Like I always love that in a battle. I learned something about the person. I learned something about the region. Right. I don't know who Jay Slater is. I'm gonna look up that later.
Yeah. Right.
Also, I didn't know Icelandic people were the most attractive people. I didn't know that either. I thought that was Swedish.
Yeah, I think it's 1 and 1A. There's some hot fucking people in both of those places.
And I love I saw that. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And then it delivered. It was like, I knew it was coming and it's like, oh, I know this is going to be good. They can't fuck this up. And then he didn't.
But he put a twist on the second one where he's like, they have the strongest men. And you're like, oh, from like lifting Meccan. And then he from carrying conversations with Meccan, which I thought was just brilliantly done, man.
Perfect.
Great battle. Great writing. Congratulations to Brendan Fox, the new Manchester champion. Congratulations to Manchester as they continue to try to pull off the upset of the century. And frankly, London, we all expected them to catch up. They haven't. The battles they've been sending in. To have a Shalaka battle last week and have it be number 6. I think London is scuffling. If anybody's going to catch Manchester, it might be our number 2 city here today. It might be Tokyo.
What?
Dude,
you've been saying this offline. I have to see this. I'm excited about this now. Now I got to see it.
Okay, let's see it. It's number 2 this week. It's from Tokyo. It's from Roast Fest. It is Mike Paxman going up against legend Keith Carey. Here it is.
Paxman! Keith Carey! Let's roast!
Let's do it. Keith had a tough childhood. His mum was addicted to drugs and alcohol for the majority of his time growing up, and his dad was not even in the picture. But that's because Keith was in the picture and widescreen photography didn't exist. Now, I'm going to be honest, I did have a whole lot of other shit about your family, but I'm going to cut it short, like your mum did to you by smoking during the pregnancy.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for special Ed Sheeran. I gotta be honest, I looked at Mike and at first I thought he looked retarded, but then I realized he's just so British, his body is colonizing extra chromosomes.
Oh, it hurts because it's true. Britain never did anything wrong. Keith and I are both proud members of LGBT, but in Keith's case, that stands for Little Gay Balding Troll. Keith told me he likes going to glory holes, reaching up to them, looking through, asking if anyone's seen his mum.
It's true, we are both bisexual, and Mike being bi is very confusing, because I looked at his relationship with a man, and I went, oh, okay, that's a gay man. And then I looked at his Instagram, which is full of video games, and his tech job, and CrossFit, and I went, oh, that's a heterosexual faggot.
Oh my God, I just found my new identity. Oh, I feel so seen. Keith, I hate to draw attention to it, but Keith has a slight facial twitch. You might have noticed. It's not a big deal. Stop saying that. But he was so quick to tell me that he has never been diagnosed with Tourette's, which means I guess he also just loves saying the N-word.
Well, how else am I supposed to come, Mike?
I would have got there either way, mate, to be honest.
Not taking that shit from the only guy who looks like he would have gotten friend-zoned at the rape of Nanking. Mike told me when he was 11 years old, he accidentally crushed a dog with a boulder. And I was really surprised to hear the word accidentally in there. Like, I'm sorry, that's not a face that says, oh, I hate hurting small animals.
Okay, but you've crushed a lot of animals in your time, mostly the front row of comedy bars. Keith loves it here in Japan, no? What a great place. Keith's favorite thing about Japan, of course, is the toilets, because they have washlets. Finally, a drinking fountain he can reach. Fuck it, I'll leave it.
Mike looks like a cuck that gets cucked by other cucks. Like, he looks like he has to sit in the corner and watch while another man puts together a chair for another man to sit in to watch a third man fuck his husband.
Thank you, Wario's dad. Now, when we were preparing for this battle tonight, Keith and I shared a load of information, and I know I've been pretty fucking mean tonight, but I want to end on a sincere note, yeah? Keith, you were supposed to be on the second plane that hit the Twin Towers in the 9/11 tracks. That's true.
That is 100% true.
And the flight was what? Cancelled or postponed or something?
I got pushed earlier.
You got pushed, right. And when you sent me that, honestly, mate, it blows my mind. Like, how close you came to being in something that people would remember.
That's very good. You guys are not going to believe this, but the beta male who moved to Japan is really into video games. Mike's so into video games, he can't get off unless you jerk his dick up, up, down, down, left, right, and then hit the prostate button. First of all, I don't like all these fat jokes about me when Mike looks like he is on an all-cum diet. Mike Paxman looks like Prince Harry if he had none of the money but twice the inbreeding.
Wow. What can I say? Oh my God. Okay, here we go. Keith has the posture of a teenager who spent all of his formative years trying to suck his own dick. And the personality of someone who watched his mum successfully do it for drug money.
there it is. Keith Carey, Mike Paxman going overtime in Tokyo. The number 2 battle this week. What are your thoughts?
Dude, this number 1 battle better hold up. It better hold up because 3 and 2 are really, I mean, like those are some of the best battles all season.
I told you this is a really good top 3
I mean,
this week.
even when we were talking about the best battles of the season, that episode, like, man, that McEnroe, Brendan Fox, and that Keith Carey, Mike Paxman. Welcome back, Keith Carey.
Yeah.
That guy always has, like, Hall of Fame all-time jokes. Every battle at this point now,
Every
the guy
time.
he speaks in roast speak now.
Yeah.
It's incredible. The guy is, get him on your team. Anybody who does this, like, this is crazy. Also, I got to say, man, for any other roast in the history of roasts now, roasting of somebody, you guys now have the whole world. It's not just people they find in New York, LA, Chicago, all these places that have comics who are submitting jokes, or guys you know who submit jokes from Canada or whatever, right? That they have TV up there, they do roasts up there. You have from everywhere now. Tokyo, Nairobi just sent us some bullshit, right? Memphis, which is a little Nairobi. You have it from everywhere now. Australia now, you just saw Brendan Fox. Manchester, Scotland, you have it everywhere now. So Robbie Prawn, Netflix, you know, Jeff Ross, you guys are watching this, Tom Brady, I know you EP that thing. You guys now have the luxury to go anywhere in the world and find some of the best roast jokes in the world. So now you guys have an arsenal of talent that your man Pat and myself have cultivated here. So you're welcome.
When you say it that way, I feel like I'm training my replacement. Like, as the guy who writes on a lot of those things, please don't give them my spot. They're great, but like, just pump the brakes a little bit here.
My bad. I'm always impressed to see just like where this reaches, and then just to see, like, I heard there's a 13-year-old that's doing it now, and I'm like, wait, there's a 13-year-old that's like, they say he's a crusher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the kid down in San Diego?
Dallas.
That's what I mean. Like, there's a different 13-year-old that I know. Like,
yeah, and that's the Bay Area one. He's like 16, I think.
Yeah, no. This is a different kid. I went down. I did a stand-up show.
I saw this. Yeah, he's 13. He's a stand-up. He's got a stand-up tutor.
Yeah, and he's battling his stand-up tutor up in the belly room soon.
Yeah,
they're coming up there to do that. So yeah, I mean they're fucking all over the world, man. The roast battle thing has really like spread, and it's really, really cool to go and see a battle like this and look at somebody like Mike Paxman and not put the label on him like, oh, you're good for Tokyo standards, or you're good for like British like you're just good. Like, we put you up there with, in my opinion, the GOAT, the best to ever do it,
man.
And he held his own. It was a really, really close bout. It was a warranted overtime. Like, he had some jokes against Keith I've never seen. I've seen a million people call Keith fat. I've never seen anybody go in on the short angle like that. He was hitting them, with so many different things, and he took topics that have been done to death, and he made them like new and fresh. I was really, really impressed with Mike's performance. And I thought that Keith is like the star maker to me. Keith battles somebody who's on one tier, and by the end of the battle, they're on another tier.
Yeah. Like,
everybody has their best performance against Keith. And Keith even said in his intro, which we cut out of the battle, he was like, they were like, why did you want to battle Mike? And he's like, well, I was coming to Japan and I was like, I want to battle like the best you have. And they're like, no, he's battling Pat. And it's like, well, I want to battle the second best you have. It's like, no, he's battling Kim. And basically like downplaying Mike. But like Mike comes out of this, in my mind, as a clear top 3, top 4 battler in Tokyo, just by virtue of like holding his own against Keith.
Yeah. I mean, Mike Paxman, welcome to the club, man. I had no idea who you are. Now I'm never gonna forget you, because that the climbing, the glory hole. He goes to the glory. Just the layers of your jokes, brother. I mean, like, that's what we're talking about, layers in the Cookie and Drew Schaefer and all. We keep going through the Meccan and the Brennan. I'll never forget that battle. It was so good. To this, I mean, just in doing that against Keith, not being intimidated, really going head to head. Nailing us, by the way, as a brand, as a collective, as a show that was happening in the 2010s, saying like the 9/11 joke, saying like, oh, you were that close to being something remembered. Like, that hurts me.
That's a good point. I didn't even consider that.
That's why I said
he was legitimately like, as a staff, record label, and as a motherfucking crew. Like,
that was Mike Paxman's hit him up. That was
so funny.
It was really good. He had some really good jokes. The climb, the glory hole, just to see is my mom here, not just to suck dick. I mean, just
his dad wasn't in the picture, but that's because Keith was in the picture, and widescreen photography
as an opener
had not been invented yet.
Come on, man.
Yeah, dude. He came out firing, and Keith just like, it's just amazing how his brain works. Like his closer, that up, down, down, like he wrote that the day of.
Oh my God.
Like we're all sitting in the Airbnb, everybody's like panicking. It's that day of thing where it's like, oh, we forgot that we have to do this like thing, and we got to put on a show. You know, none of us wanted to take it as like, oh, a free trip to Tokyo, I'll fuck around.
Yeah.
Like, so we're all the day of like, fuck, we need more. And Keith is just like, he's sitting on the bed and he's just like, hey, what do you guys think about this? And it's like, oh, only like the funniest fucking joke anyone's ever written, just coming up like day of the battle. Like,
and it's his, by the way, it's his throwaway. He's just like, if it gets here, I'll do it. I'm not gonna put it in. I'm not gonna put it in my, in my rotation.
It's absolutely unbelievable what that guy does every single time, and it's like it's incredible. And for Mike, just taking that giant step forward, and maybe the battle of the weekend in a weekend filled with incredible battles.
No, I mean, it's almost like if you have just sometimes in college basketball, they'll have if you just put up a good enough performance against a good ranked opponent,
sure,
right? Like a top 5 or top 10, like that can get you into the tournament sometimes, just like as having a good resume, right? That right there for me, like Mike Paxson, I'm like, oh, I just put you on the list as like rookie, as a rookie of the year, just for that performance alone. That was just so good.
Well, that's why I try telling everybody, like it's we're towing a weird line where it's like wins and losses do matter, and there's titles and there's a world champ. I get it, but also like we value the great performances so much more. There's a reason we don't include the judging in here. We don't talk about who won. Like Keith won that battle, but also like they both come out of it looking so much stronger. That's my thing. So I'd always much rather lose an incredible battle than win a shitty battle. I posted on the RBL commish thing the other day, here's a list of the undefeated battlers this season, and there's a couple that we have yet to see on the podcast. So it's like, yeah, you're 6-0, but I don't know anything about the battles. I'm excited to see those people, but the superstars of this thing are the people that we see every week.
Correct.
And let's get into the number one battle that way, and let's talk about a couple records that have been broken. Number one, this is the LA title match. This is Nate Welch versus John Luna. We were there in the room. You're questioning whether or not it holds up. We're about to find out. For John Luna, this is, I believe, his 7th appearance on the podcast this season. That's the most in the league. He passed everybody else. He has 38 RBL points this season. He is now in first place, not only for the season, but last season as well. It's a single season record. He is a guaranteed great battle every single time. This is his 9th career appearance on the podcast, trailing only Shalaka Kurup and Ryan Cullen, most of anybody in the United States. He is the Keith Carey of a new generation in certain ways, where it's like every time you put him up there, it's going to be an entertaining battle, win, lose, or draw. Going up against a guy that this was a battle not only for the LA title, but unofficially maybe for the MVP. I think these guys were the top 2 competitors for that. And we put them head to head to see what would happen. We're talking about the champion, Nate Welch. He's been consistent in the belly room the entire way through. He has a couple misfires outside of the belly room, but on that stage, in that room, he is basically unbeatable. John Luna threw everything he possibly could at Nate. Was it enough? Let's find out. It's the number one battle this week. It's a title match from LA. Nate Welch, the champion, going up against the challenger, John Luna. Here it is.
The title match. Challenger. Battle. Let's roll.
Everyone give it up for my opponent, Avatar the Last Chairbender. Yeah, Nate's from New Orleans. When his mom's water broke, it was just garlic Cajun sauce. Nate loves football, but he's not very athletic. The closest he's ever gotten to a football field is when him and his family slept in the Superdome after Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah. Who that? Yeah, you look like your favorite football team is the Refrigerators.
Okay. Dude.
Hold up.
Nate is also fat.
That is true. That is true.
This guy looks like he would burn a cross before he burns a calorie. Okay.
Oh. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I look like I'm pushing for the wall. You look like you're pushing 400 pounds, motherfucker. So, John's a Mexican dude who sounds like a white lesbian. I guess that makes him a die-yike.
Damn. Damn. Sorry, I was just listing things that New Orleans doesn't have.
Yeah, we don't have dams. We have levees, dumbass.
Everyone give it up for my opponent, Charlie Hates Browns. Nate's parents are divorced, so Katrina was the second time his home was broken. Yeah, Nate's dad left to Tennessee, and Nate was a 10-year-old that his dad never did see.
You know.
That's why he's such a good bouncer. He's been pushing guys out the door since he was a kid.
You know, nobody can see John Cena, but everybody can see John Luna. John's got a skin disease called psoriasis. Side effects may include looking like you got shit on by a bunch of birds.
Wow.
Wow.
A psoriasis joke.
Wow. A racist joke.
A psoriasis joke, Nate? Yeah. A psoriasis joke, man? I thought that these white spots were the only part of me you did like. Everybody give it up for Dana White Power, everyone.
Oh, originality over here.
But his octagon is when he's in the kitchen with his girlfriend. Nate wanted to learn jiu-jitsu because he thought it was about beating up Jewish people. I'm not saying that Nate is a Nazi. I'm just saying to hide from him, you just have to go up the stairs and behind a bookshelf. Two places Nate would never go.
Thanks for your monologue.
I'm surprised you know that word.
Yeah, I had to learn it. John looked like a member of the Mexican Carteletubbies. Hold up. John been fucking up so much chicken, he got Chick-fil-A's.
Give it up for this French Quarter Pounder, everyone. But Nate's so racist, when he goes to the French Quarter, he calls it the French 3/5.
No, it's the French Quarter.
Nate likes to fuck black women, because if he can't, then at least his kids can say the N-word.
It depends. Yeah, I like. You know, that was a really good one, Gabriel Big Lazy Ass. John's girlfriend just broke up with him on his birthday. But he already moved on. He just started sleeping with some bitch named Apnea.
Yes, yes. Yeah, my girlfriend did break up with me. We just really couldn't communicate, something Nate has in common with every person he's ever talked to.
Have a degree in communication.
Give it up for my opponent, JKKK Simmons, everyone. But Nate can't get whiplash because he doesn't really have a neck, so.
I ain't got no neck.
I'm like 4 inches taller than you, okay.
Yeah, and two
And it's
extra
all
chins.
neck.
And 2 extra chins. Go ahead. Do your fucking 48 jokes.
I'm glad you could count that high. I know I've said a lot of bad stuff about Nate, but he is progressive. He does think that trans people should be able to use any bathroom they want to, as long as they are white.
No.
He's trying.
As long as they lift the seat.
He's trying. He just learned about pronouns. Next, he's gonna do adjectives and verbs.
I'm a try. You know, that was a really good one. I like that one. Pablo Escobar barbecue. Now, John went to Catholic school, so obviously he's had some intimate relations with his El Pastor.
Wow. Wow. The number one battle this week, you questioned whether or not it would hold up. First things first, did it hold up?
That held up.
Yeah.
That held up. That was great.
This was a couple weeks ago in LA. You could submit any battle from the last 30 days. This is maybe my third or fourth rewatching of it. Now, in the moment, there was some interesting judging that went on. Nate Welch retained the title, which at the time, I know you and I had a heavy heart that night because I was like, man, that battle needed overtime. I have rewatched it 3 or 4 times now. I will not spoil whether or not my opinions have changed. I'd like to get your thoughts on the battle in general. And did the rewatch change anything in your mind from how you felt in the room?
All right. Now, there's a thing that me and Coach T used to have, and I'm sorry, old battlers, you may not, or sorry, fans, you may not understand what this is, but Coach T was our music supervisor, director back in the day, and we did 2 podcasts. One was Verbal Violence, where we interviewed battlers who were in the scene, and then it was Roast Battle on the Comedy Central Viacom podcast network, right? Where we had like bigger name guests during the Roast Battle episodes when they were on Comedy Central. Now, he's a DJ, loves hit records, big Drake guy, right?
Yeah.
I was always a big Tribe Called Quest, Kendrick, right? Real, just like I'm a more lyrical guy, right? He's more of like, I want people to shake their ass kind of a thing, right? Like I know that's what gets people in the club, that's what sells records. We need to be selling records, Moses. Fuck this artistic shit you're trying to do. Like we need to do this kind of a thing. And I was always in the vein of, no, it's always about the art kind of a thing. Now we have a different thing when it comes to Roast Battle. The Shelley Gruenberg and the John Luna battle at the Mothership. You guys thought that was the best battle. Now, rewatching those, I cut some of these episodes for some of the social media and going, I had to pick some of the best jokes, right, for some of the guys who were cutting them. And man, going through that whole thing and seeing it again, I was like, Eric Asker and Deep held up. I thought that was the best battle. I saw it that night. The fans thought Shelley and John correct. That was the best battle. She deserved MVP, and rightfully so. But I still thought if Deep would have won, he might have won MVP that night because that battle gave you everything as far as a dunk contest is concerned. As far as the hits are concerned, that works. Maybe from like a deeper level, yeah, Shelley and John gave you something you may not have anticipated, and you're like, wow, from a writing perspective, great job, you two. I just didn't see that coming out of you guys. But just from a hits perspective, just like I saw dunks I've seen before, but just like more emphatic, better. I saw people shaking their ass more at the club with this one. That's what that felt like with the Deep and Eric. Now, to get off of that, to get to this, I thought when I saw John in that room, I was like, there were jokes in there that were all-timers. Like I saw with Keith in the last battle, which is number 2 in this episode. I was like, damn. In the room, I'm like, I never heard some of those. Those are some of the best race jokes, or calling somebody a racist jokes I've ever heard. And Nate, that might have been his best pun-related performance I've ever seen. That was strength on strength. Now, John had a strategy I'd never seen with Nate, right? A lot of guys go and be like, I can flip this thing on puns, right? And I think even Frank Castillo said on his live stream last week, he didn't like puns before Nate Welch. And I was telling you that. Nate's flipped it on everybody now. People are into puns now. Yeah. It's fun. It used to not be a thing. It used to be like, Neil Brennan even used to say like to young comics, like, stay away from puns. Don't get into the pun thing. But Nate's flipped it on people, especially when it comes to this sport. John was like, I'm not going to fall into that. I'm not going to fall into like his pun trap. I'll even do some puns, right? And people do that too. They try to flip better puns on him, but he did it, but he stayed in his own lane, which was like, I'm going to keep with these racist jokes. I'm going to call him fat a little bit here and there. I'm going to call him poor. He's from New Orleans kind of a thing. But he bullied him. He did the Scotland thing. He did like 3 jokes or 9 jokes every fucking turn. And I think people got turned off by that. But why Scotland always ranks in this thing is because you're going to hear probably 80% of those things are going to be great.
Yeah.
80% of those things were fucking great.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he had some duds, but even Nate had maybe 1 or 2 duds in those puns, but Nate was probably 95% punch, like punch landed compared to John's 80%. So I get why everybody's like, Nate did better. Nate was more concise and short, and you just saw those hits affect John more, and it took John more, but man, John just had more jokes that were better.
So where do you land right now?
Should have went to overtime.
Should have went to overtime. So my thing was, and we dropped this super early on the Patreon. We cut this immediately. We got it out within like a day or two because I wanted to see what the Patreon community thought. And the Patreon community thought pretty much across the board that Nate won.
Yeah.
In rewatching the battle, the second time around, I agree with that. I agree with the Nate thing. I agree that he should have won. I think it was actually in the moment. I remember being so frustrated for John because I'm like, man, I heard a couple of people say to be the champ, you got to beat the champ. And I'm like, well, if you can't beat the champ with 30 great jokes, how do you do it? We might as well just let him keep the belt forever.
I was going to wait till you finish this, but that's literally at the end. I was going to say that's what it was. It was like he didn't beat him, though. He didn't beat him in regulation, and Nate did have 95% compared to his 80.
But, and this is such a hindsight argument because you never know what's going to work and what's not. But if you, with the power of hindsight, with the power of retrospect, took just John's 5 to 7 best jokes, the ones that were haymakers, and just did those, I think he probably wins that battle.
Damn.
Just live in a world for a minute where you just take the 5 to 7 best and eliminate the rest. That's a performance that's almost impossible to beat.
Yes, because you remember his duds because Nate is rebutting his duds and they're hitting hard.
Yeah.
And you remember those more, and then Nate goes into his joke format and those hit too. And I think that's a little hard to overcome in John's case. And he was trying to by overcompensating with more jokes.
Yes.
And then you heard some big ones in there, and then he might have even stepped on some big ones because he was trying to get in more tags and more tags and more tags. And you're like, brother, you had it. I don't know if he outright beats him because Nate had 3 huge pops, maybe even 4 huge pops.
Not to take anything away from Nate. Nate was incredible. There's a reason it's the #1 battle. Right. And in a week with Meckenroth versus Brendan Fox and Keith Carey versus Mike Paxman, going in, I didn't know how I was going to, and I watched them all, and within 3 or 4 jokes, I was like, oh yeah, this is still #1.
It was #1.
It's still #1.
But it's because John's competing with Keith, Mike Paxman, Megan, and Brennan, and Scott Schaefer a little bit more than he's competing with Nate in this. It's almost like John carries him to this for the joke writing purpose.
Yes.
In Nate's performance of just being Nate and having big pops, and then like the jokes are carrying a little bit, makes this #1 battle because you're going against this guy everybody loves, and it was just a better performance than the other 2.
John's strategy was very conducive for having the greatest title match in the history of that room. I said that in the night. This was the best title match, I feel like, by a lot. One of the best battles we've ever had in that room. His strategy was one of the reasons that that's true. It also, I think, is one of the reasons he lost. Because I think people looked at it and the disproportionate amount of jokes, and they viewed it almost as unfair. And when Nate called it out by, do your fucking 48 jokes, he got a pop just off of that because he was saying kind of what the crowd was thinking, right? When I battled Jay Yamaki in Tokyo, I like that Scotland side. It's hard to pull off, but I know Tokyo a lot of times does longer shit. I hit up Jay. I was like, here's what I want to do. I want to have 2 or 3 jokes per turn, but I want them to be related. Scotland is just, here's 5 random jokes. So with Jay, I was like, I want to do between 2 and 4 jokes per turn, but they're all connected. And he was like, great, let's do it. And we did it, and nobody felt like it was unfair, and I thought it was a great, great, great battle. John obviously just wanted to do it without telling Nate, and I think it, in a way, came back to bite him because it made it look like he was cheating, even though there's no official rule on it.
It looked like he was eating off his plate. It did look like he was just like going to a cornbread and just kind of was just doing. That's why even Nate was just like, I guess I can't do my joke right now.
Yeah, very, very, very much so. And I thought Nate did such a great job at combating that and just acknowledging what was happening and being like, oh, you're fucking monologue. Oh, you're fucking 48 jokes, because he was saying what the crowd was thinking. I understand completely why Nate won the battle. I understand why in the moment, and even you watching it back now, you're like, it still should have been overtime. I understand all those perspectives. But having rewatched it a few times, I really think that John did everything he needed to do to make it a classic battle. but miscalculated in terms of how to win. Because I think he created a perception in the audience's minds that they were not playing, it was not a fair fight.
Right.
And I think that Nate became the underdog with that. I think the champion became the underdog because of how John handled it, and people want to root for an underdog.
And when you say that, that's what gives that's what makes this the number one battle, because it was so layered in the sense of, yeah, Nate's the champ, but it was a lot of defense on his part, a lot of natural defense.
Yeah.
And Nate just being a naturally funny person, a lot of that came out. Kind of like with Cookie we were talking about earlier. Like Nate is a character.
Yeah.
But in a good connotation. In a way of, he can just be a naturally funny person. That's just his character, and that's just going to deflate a lot of things and almost feel like punchlines themselves.
Maybe the battle of the year. When we have the roasties in the offseason, when we bring those back and we crown the battle of the year, it's going to be really tough to judge that against like a Shalaka versus Jack, or that week 2 Manchester one that, knocked us back, like the Michael Mannion and Monty Wilson, which was incredible.
Oh my God. Kyle versus Jack, Kyle Samuel versus Jack.
Yeah, there's been a lot of great ones this year, and this is right up at the top of the pack, and it's the number one battle this week. So congratulations, LA picking up a bunch of points this week, 7 for the top battle, and then half of the 6 for the number 2 battle. Keith Carey representing LA. That's 10 points for LA. Let's take a look at the standings. So we start with America, and we just mentioned LA picking up 10 points. This is a big, big, big deal for them, not because it ices up the American West Division, because LA has kind of had that for a while, but because now they jump ahead of New York for that number 1 overall seed. New York's been holding on to that the entire year, and now it is LA's by a little bit more of a comfortable margin. That could make the difference when we get to the World Championships in a few months. Otherwise, everything kind of remains the same. The Bay Area, as you could see, picking up 4 points. That's not going to be enough to catch LA at this point. Austin and Denver getting on the board. Everybody from the West scores once again. In the East, it's just Chicago picking up the 2 for the number 6 battle, and then Cleveland getting a point off of that as well. And you can see there the little E's next to the name. For the first time this season, there have been mathematical eliminations. Cleveland and Atlanta are officially out of the race. See you guys. Gone fishing. We gotta do that NBA on TNT graphic for them next time. But let's go over to the international side, where things are a little bit more interesting. Not in the West, where nobody scored this week. Not 1 point scored in the West. Scotland winning that division has been a foregone conclusion, I feel like, for a minute. They're just playing out the string there. Although Scotland now is going to have to worry about that number 1 overall international seed. Manchester is making a run for that. They pull within, a few points of Scotland for the number 1 overall. But more importantly, in that East, you see Tokyo officially leapfrogging London in the number 2 spot, and only less than 10 points off the pace. They are within striking distance of Manchester. They pick up a net point this week. They finish 1 spot ahead of Manchester. Here's what I'll say. I was at Roast Fest. Tokyo has 3 more weeks of Roast Fest fights, because they turned the first one around within 24 hours and got it submitted. You have 30 days. They're getting 5 submissions out of this event.
Wow.
Similarly, Manchester did the exact same thing with Meccan versus Brendan. That event, they're going to get 5 submissions out of that event.
Damn.
I wasn't there. I don't know how the rest of the fights were. If they're anything like Meccan and Brendan, this is going to be a war coming down the stretch. For the next 3 or 4 weeks, Tokyo has bangers ready to go. Manchester might as well. London, I don't know what you're doing. We all thought it was a foregone conclusion. You were going to come back and win this thing. Doesn't seem to be that way. And you get seasons like that in sports where, the whole season you're like, oh, they'll figure it out.
They change venues. It fucked the whole season up.
Yeah. But acknowledging now, let's just say for the sake of argument that London doesn't have a miracle comeback in them. Manchester, Tokyo, I'm telling you, I saw the Tokyo battles. Are you willing to soften your stance at all, or do you still think that there's no way Tokyo can win this thing?
All right. You've been saying this for the last week since you've been out there and since you got back. I'm going to agree now. After seeing what I saw with Paxman and Keith, knowing that Kim and Troy are down the pipe, knowing that you and Yamaki are down the pipe, you should be worried, Manchester. I was wrong about Montreal. Damn it, Montreal! It was only one guy. It was one battler. He really blew me away, and then I
And then you had memories of JFL back in the day.
It was Brandon Jennings. That's what it was. It was Brandon Jennings having his 55-point game against, as a Buck, and I just didn't know what to do. I don't know what that was. And I was like, oh, that guy's going to be great. Yep. Obviously, he's going to be great. And then I don't know who Brandon Jennings is. He's a podcaster at this point. So, yeah, thanks, Montreal. And then now, London, I make this prognostication that, like, oh, they're just waiting like a snake in the wings, man, waiting for you to sleep. And no, Manchester and Tokyo haven't slept. If anything, Tokyo is making the Bay Area promise. They're doing things Josh Means said.
Yep.
Wackrat is right.
Yeah.
JJ Wackrat is right. They may do this. I'm going to agree with you. After seeing that and seeing what's happening, Manchester, and you guys are crazy. I can't believe you guys have done this as an expansion team, but Tokyo called their shot, and they may pull it off.
They just might. We got 6 weeks left to go. Tokyo has 3 battles in those 6 weeks. They have one more big event coming up before the year ends. They were talking about bringing battlers in from Hong Kong. They are importing. They want it. Well, see, here's the thing.
Is there a Hong Kong roast battle?
I think yes, evidently. I had never heard of it. I think they wanted to do Tokyo versus Hong Kong at the end of the year as like this like season closeout thing. I don't think honestly they thought they'd be in this position. Now I'm sure they're like, well, do we really want to bring in some of? But they're also talking about doing Jay Yamaki versus Mike Paxman as a championship match at the top of it to be guaranteed something good. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited for this race. It is. I did not expect this to be the division that all eyes were on at the end of the season, but here we are.
Dude, I love this race. I love that the magic number for LA's coming. Sorry, Josh Means. Valiant effort, Bay Area.
Oh, yeah.
Stop. And I love that the West is doing this. The IW is doing this. I'm really into the International West, and that we have a race at the end of the season, right?
Yeah.
It's a long. March to November is crazy.
It's insane.
I'm like, there's no way this is gonna be fun. But now I'm like, this is actually it's a perfect amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to this home stretch. Now we're in September. We're going into October. Like that's you got 4 weeks at that point.
If anything, the off season is going to be the tough part. People in other cities are like, what are we supposed to do in the off season? I'm like, I don't know. Don't talk to me. That's the number one thing. Leave me alone. Otherwise, if you guys want to run shade, if anyone wants to battle.
Summer League, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Winter
exactly.
meetings.
Dude, our LA shows in the off season are going to be, it's going to be rough.
Have some fun.
Yeah, we're going to have fun. We're going to find the new stars.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. Yeah. All right. So that is it for this week's episode. Thank you guys for watching. We got 6 weeks left in the season. Stick with us. Keep watching. We drop new episodes every RBL Weekly every Tuesday. New episodes, full-length episodes every Thursday. We've had a bunch of like Wednesday bonus drops coming out of nowhere. A lot of fun stuff. Sign up for the Patreon. We just scheduled the next round of writers' workshops with a Roast Battle Superstar and Zoom battles. Those are coming up. So if you want to get on Zoom, battle other Patreon members in front of celebrity guest judges, hop on there, do that. I got nothing else. You?
I'm excited about the offseason and who we're going to pick to be the new teams or the new cities.
Yes, if you're in a city and you are not part of the Roast Battle League and you would like to be, keep that to yourself for right now. But come October, shoot me a DM. Towards the end of October, shoot me a DM at the Pat Barker, at RBL Commish, either one, and we'll talk about whether or not you could be in the league.
You could be the new Manchester.
Yeah, or you could be the new Montreal. Who knows?
You motherfucker.